We have breaking news. The CDC has provided everything cruise lines need to know about test sailings, and the requirements are completely bonkers. It seems like the CDC is making vaccines mandatory without actually making them mandatory. Very cheeky. Well, ahoy there, cruisers. We're Cruise with Ben and David. My name is Ben. Please hit that subscribe button and please give us a like. It really helps us. Now that breaking news, the CDC has released version 2B of the conditional sail order. It includes technical instructions for what cruise lines need to do when conducting simulated voyages in order to test the effectiveness of the cruise ships and the operator's ability to mitigate the risks of COVID-19 on board. And the list of things that cruise lines have to do to complete a test sailing is astronomical. We would be here all day telling you the requirements. But before we go into detail, bear in mind earlier this month, the CDC actually waived the need to do simulated voyages altogether, just as long as the cruise line had 95% of all passengers on board fully vaccinated and at least 98% of crew. So cruise lines who will require the vaccine can basically skip this step. So by making these requirements so difficult, just wait until you hear some of the things. So it's very clear from these new guidelines that the CDC's real aim is to have vaccinated cruisers only. And we have no problem with this, but why not just go ahead and say that and make it a thing instead of creating all of these ridiculously impossible guidelines? So if a cruise line wants to go on the simulated voyages route, they will need to do a lot of things, including sacrificing their newborn child. Well, just kidding, but almost. Let's have a look at some of the highlights. Firstly, they need to request approval from the CDC at least 30 days prior to the test sailing. Then they need to have loads of written agreements with just about everybody, ports, authorities, CEOs. They have to provide all of the protocols they plan to use. Simulated voyages must be in between 2 and 7 days in length with at least one overnight stay. Then there's the use of face masks, social distancing, the cleaning, all of that jazz. We already know about that. So get this, it's absolutely ridiculous. On cruise lines' private islands, there can only be one ship in a port at a time, and masks must be worn at all times on the island. Since when did the CDC have authority on foreign countries? It's all a little bit crazy. Then there's the volunteers. It won't be a nice, happy sailing. They will have a whole list of chores and protocols to do. Things like emergency planning, emergency stations, pretending that there's quarantines on board. They must be over the age of 18 years old. And they must also have a signed medical document saying that they have no underlying health conditions. There needs to be enough volunteers on board to meet at least 10% of the ship's normal capacity. Then they must sign a lengthy document with agreements that they are taking part in an inherently risky activity. It sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? Plus there's lots of things like COVID tests, giving specimens, and much more. I really don't want to bore you. Basically, they're just giving a whole lot of guidelines that are impossible for any cruise line to follow. So what would happen on a test sailing if COVID did break out? Well, the COVID-19 threshold for stopping the cruise is met when 1.5% of passengers test positive or 1% of the crew test positive. So if there were 1,000 passengers on board, it would take 15 passengers to be positive to end the cruise. So what does all this mean? Well, nothing really. It's very clear the CDC wants everybody to be vaccinated. So this part 2B really means nothing because test cruises can be skipped at the cruise line's discretion. This whole thing's pretty pointless. Why don't they just go ahead and say that they want people to be vaccinated? They're saying it without saying it, which is very cheeky. Anyway, what do you think about all this? Do you think any cruise line in their right mind would go ahead and do all of these things to do a simulated sailing? Personally, we don't think so, but let us know in the comment section below. We love to hear from you. That's it for this quick episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. It's almost midnight here, so please give us a thumbs up. And thank you so much to all of our patrons as well. You guys are amazing. You help us create all of the videos that we do. We give you extra footage, extra videos, a Zoom call every month, and postcards whilst we're away. The captain of the week is Jamie, so ahoy there, Jamie. That's it till next time. Happy cruising.